All right, then let me give you a quick introduction, beginning the session of the moderator, and I'll open up the floor for Suma to take over. So Suma Natraj, first of all, I'm really happy to have a wonderful panel today. Thank you so much, Suma, for joining in, and to all of the panelists for making the time to join us. Well, Suma is an enterprise security and vulnerability management professional with over 13 years of experience in the industry. Currently, Suma serves as a product manager for the IBM Cloud platform at IBM, and her expertise in cybersecurity and passion for creating customer-focused solutions have contributed to her success in the industry. We're really excited to have her moderate the session and bring forth some amazing perspectives for you. Over to you, Ms. Suma. Lead us in.
Thank you so much, Kashish. Just want to confirm you all hear me well.
Yeah, let me, before Ms. Suma, you go ahead, let me also go ahead and launch a couple of polls for the audience to take so that you have a demography of what kind of audience we have today. So audience, there is a poll being launched. I would encourage you to please go ahead and take the poll, a quick understanding so that the panel can frame their conversations better for you. Let's give them a minute to take the poll. Yes, I can see a couple of answers already. Let me read out to you. If you can see the poll on your screens, panel.
Yeah. Yes, we can see the poll.
It's good to know we have about a good percentage of people who are 16 to 20 years of experience. Good number of people from 5 to 10 years of experience. We have quite a few product managers already here who are already product leaders, few entrepreneurs here as well. Most of them seem to be from a background of startups and financial services, IT services. Thank you so much. I'll give you a moment more to go ahead and take the poll. Meanwhile, we'd be posting a quick question for you in the chat box. We'd like you to go ahead and put those answers in the chat box. You can avoid the Q&A window right now. This is an answer. So I'm putting up the question in the chat box right now. Please go ahead and put down your answers for it. So here, in one word, what does a successful career mean to you? Feel free to take some time. Even for the ones watching on LinkedIn, please feel free to drop in your answers in the chat box. All right, Ms. Suma, I think over to you.
Thank you, Kashish. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this panel discussion, the future of workforce, building successful skill teams versus hiring top talent, right? I'm super excited to host this panel discussion. I have a great panelists here and I welcome them all. Each of them are leaders in their own domain and they come with commendable experience of building teams that bring business outcome for their organizations. So let me introduce Dia Kutapa. She's a learning and development expert with over 14 years of experience, and as a change catalyst and advisor, she enables the growth and the development of talent within the organization. She specializes in creating culture of learning, providing learning solutions to meet employee engagement and strengthening manager effectiveness. Her expertise are in diagnostics, design, delivery, and change management for team and organizational effectiveness. She has directly impacted the success of organizations she has worked for. They are very pleased to have you here. Thank you for being with us.
Hi, Suma. Good evening, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much, Institute of Product Leadership, for this wonderful opportunity and to be present here to participate in this panel discussion. So yeah, Suma, you have any questions? Otherwise, I can pass it on to you back.
Yes, please. Yeah. Next, I would like to welcome Srividya Natarajan. And she is a talent development expert with experience in technology and product engineering. She has led complex projects in IT and ITES and startups. Srividya guides stakeholders to find convergence between personal aspirations, professional goals, and organizational expectations. She has a passion for formulating and delivering holistic talent development and strategies for businesses. Srividya, it's great to have you here. Thank you for your time, and we look forward to having this conversation. Thank you.
Thank you, Suma. Thanks to IPL team for the opportunity, and definitely look forward for this conversation with all of you.
Great. Sonali Nanda. Hi, Sonali. Thanks for joining us. Sonali is a get stuff done, scale product and engineering leader who believes in creating an inclusive, high performance and innovative culture while building products and organizations. With 14 years of software development and product leadership experience, she currently heads a cross-functional team, which includes product managers, development teams, content creators, data scientists, technical writers, and everybody in the spectrum of creating products. She has scaled products across, from going from 0 to 1, 1 to 10, and 10 to 100 journeys. She's unapologetically ambitious, fearless, and focused while maintaining she's being empathetic towards her team. She strongly believes in creating a humble, fair, and authentic ecosystem that involves people's professional and personal growth, and truly cares about creating leaders and not just followers. This is great to have you here, Sonali. We would look forward to learning from you and from your experience.
Thanks a lot, Suma. Again, good morning, good evening to everyone.
That's great. So I think we've had a good poll. We kind of understand we do have people from the product management aspirations or people who are already in the product management area. So let's start delving into the topic of the day. The goal of this discussion is to explore the macro trends that are taking place in the current and the near future workplace and the workforce, and how these trends are going to influence workplaces and the career opportunity for all of us. I recently read the Future of Job Report 2023, which is published by World Economic Forum, and which explores jobs and skills, how jobs and skills will evolve over the next 5 years. The report that I quote is, the technology adoption, apart from the geopolitical situation, leaving that aside, what drew my attention is the technology adoption will remain a key driver for business transformation. Out of 85% of the organizations that surveyed, agreed that they would be investing in technology and the skill development of their workforce and their employees, and they will be adopting new technologies and frontier of technologies in making their products and services digitally accessible, and that is what will drive their next set of growth. With respect to technology adoption, big data, cloud computing, AI. We all know buzzwords, and these technologies are impacting how we consume technology and how we work with them every day. So given this trend, right, I would like to start with this opening questions for our panelists, that as leaders who've been building teams which delivers business outcome, in your experience, what does the future of workforce look like? Please share the top 2 trends that you observe in your roles. I would like to start with Srividya. Why don't you go ahead and open the conversation for us?
Thank you, Suma. Yeah, I think rightly, as you said, irrespective of whichever domain we are in, technology is taking the center stage, right? And businesses heavily investing in it because, it is bettering our lives. It is providing better customer experience as well as, helping us build for efficiencies and scale. So if I look at the future of workforce, most of, us are, very digitally savvy, right? And hence, I think being a digital literate, being very comfortable with data, looking at tons of data, trying to synthesize it and arrive at meaningful insights, which can be used to drive business decisions is, one aspect that comes to my mind when I think of future of workforce. The comfort and ease with which, the workforce can deal with data, right? And also being conversant with AI, ML, automation tools, right? Which have become a part of our, day-to-day problem-solving capabilities. If you see over the last few months, ChatGPT has taken the center stage, right? And we see, people from all professions, be it an artist, be it a scientist, be it an engineer, everybody is trying different use cases, and they are actually sharing how it is helping them, right? So this, I feel, will be the urge to explore and learn and try new things, I think will become more and more evident as we go forward in the workforce. The second important thing that also comes to my mind is, most of us have already started thinking of how to find purpose at our work, right? How do we play actually multi-dimensional roles? Profession or career for us is taking a different meaning in terms of it is becoming a accumulation of multiple experiences, right? We want to experience different things rather than just think about vertical growth, right? Growth horizontally, growth in a lattice way is also kind of picking a lot of interest among people. So these are the two things that, top of the mind comes to me when I look at the future of workforce and how that space is evolving.
That's great. Thank you, Srividya. Sonali, would you like to add more thoughts here?
Yeah, Suma. So I think building on top of what Srividya mentioned, right? Business outcome oriented is becoming a very key thing when it comes to talent now, workforce now, right? So earlier, just to give you an example, a developer would be measured on how much good quality code they have written in what time, right? Now the trend is a developer would be measured on not just the quality code, but what is the final automation impact that code is able to make, or what is the, is the user journey really meaningful, for the users, as an example. So in my mind, that is a big mind shift change for the workforce across the industry. And the second thing is, while there is a lot of technology out there, processing which technology is the right thing for the business problem, right? Not just knowing technology. So it's a very complex situation now, right? Where you have to understand the technologies without, losing the importance of the business problem, right? So you still keep business problem as the first priority, and then you apply which technology makes sense for solving that business problem, right? So these are the two macro level, trends which I see will be important when it comes to the overall workforce.
Yeah. Thank you, Sonali. Dia, your perspectives, please.
I think, Srividya and Sonali have brought a lot of it onto the table. I just wanted to add two things. When I think of the future of workforce, in the next 15 to 10 years, what happens is it will empower and inspire everybody to do the best, whatever they want to do. It is not that you have to take it like, if you have joined as a coordinator, you remain one like that. So that is one of the first things that I felt. And the second thing is that completely today, the whole workforce is changing to a persona-based system. What is the persona of the person working in a technology industry? What is the persona working in a human resource industry? Because of the evolving platforms, integration, system processes, those roles to support the digital landscape will actually help the future of workforce to do their best. So these are the two things that I would just like to add to this conversation.
Absolutely. Thank you, everyone. I know data is driving everyone, all of our lives. From the minute that we wake up till the time we go to bed, we are surrounded with data. We're consuming more data, producing more data as well. So spot on there. And I think the COVID era gave us time to think about what we are doing, how meaningful it is for all of us, right? We, as much as we say we have become career oriented, we've also become mindful of what is the purpose of my career, or where am I going ahead with this? I think this has been on people's mind, and that is what they are using as a North Star to in their roles and in their next roles. Impact driven work. So as Sonali mentioned, it is not whether somebody could be a developer or a designer or a sales executive. It is their work is measured based on the impact that is making to the business. Workforce is, it's going to change how people empowering and enriching people's life. Persona based, I think products, we see more and more products that developed on people's problems and persona based, right? Who are my target audience? Who are my target customers? Great insights there. I would like to add another question to the new Gen Zs and the millennials as they are joining the workforce. In your experience, how this has changed the way you all look at teams, and how do you how things have changed in terms of creating teams and developing workforces or workplace? Yeah, any thoughts there?
Sure. So, Suma, maybe I'll just hop in and give my views here.
Yes, please.
I work with a lot of Gen Zs. So from my experience, what I see is Gen Z is way, way ahead than where any other generation used to be, at that age, right? If I look back what I was as a fresher to what a person from a college can do or has the potential to do, it's like poles apart. Primarily because they have a lot of exposure, to the internet, to the technology, and there is a very big change which has also happened in the industry with respect to the talent which the industry seeks. Earlier, people used to look at experience-based talent, right? So if you have spent 5 years doing a certain thing, you then get into your next level. Now that trend is changing to skill set driven talent, right? And to build skill sets, it's now easy because you have a lot of material out there on the internet. There are a lot of forums, companies which are providing digital material. The organizations themselves are upskilling. So for Gen Z, I actually see a very, very disruptive work ecosystem wherein, they bring in the talent, and B, they have the environment to contribute, because there is now, even a 2 years experienced person can now get into a role which a 10 years experienced person used to play. That's how skill set driven industry has become, right? So that's why I feel it's a very vibrant world for the Gen Z, and it's great to see their outcomes.
Absolutely, they are the disruptors in the workspace.
Absolutely.
Right. Any thoughts you would like to add, Dia, Shividya?
Yeah. So just like how she said, build a skilled workforce. One of the things that I would add on top of that is, and that has worked really well for me in the past and teams that I've worked with, is while we have technology, we have product, the most important thing is the human skills or the behavior skills, right? Without which none of us can function. So what I have felt is the Strength Finder assessment, or which is also known as the Clifton's assessment. If you are having a 10-member team, Gen Z, Gen Y, whichever generation, you can run this assessment for them. That's when you will understand what are the strengths that each of your team members are bringing on board. That strength, you convert that potential to performance and make it in the 9-box rating. Where exactly in the matrix model are your people standing? Then on projects, when you go, you can actually take those strengths, create a blend and run the project. Then your top talent will also be taken care of, your skilled workforce, your future workforce. Everybody is happy, is what my experience has been over the past few years. And also with Strength Finder, you can understand the persona, the personality of the person, and make the best use of that person overall. That's the only thing that I wanted to add. Thank you. And if you all are really interested, you can, audience, you can take up the Strength Finder assessment yourself. It's a really good purview into what exactly are your strengths and your areas of opportunity. Thank you so much.
And thank you for sharing that. I'm sure all of us are, should be taking it if you're not already aware of our strengths. So in your view, creating teams which are combination of different skills is before it used to happen probably by, successful teams were, they were successful by accidentally because they had a good combination of people. Now we have a way to actually create, teams which are going to be successful. Okay. Yeah. Thanks for that. Srividya, before we move on to the next question, would you like to add something here?
Sure, Suma. I think my 2 cents here is adding on to what Sonali and Dia said. I think also the enabling ecosystem is equally important to keep the Gen Z talent engaged and motivated. So if all of us are aware, I think we have all read and practiced about the self-managed teams, which is a core construct in Agile, right? I think if we really live it, I think that is something which, the Gen Z will kind of allude to in terms of transparency, respect, and then, having very, very open, candid conversations around each individual's roles, contributions, career path, and also giving them enough flexibility around, how they can maneuver through their own career and co-create their career paths, right? I think some of these things are what Gen Z look for, rather than having very, clear structures and processes cast on stone. I think agility is the key to, agility in processes as well as mindset and thoughts, right, is the key to kind of keep the Gen Z engaged from an organization perspective. That is my sense.
Absolutely agree with you, Srividya. In fact, they look for challenging assignments and an environment which trusts them without thinking about how young they are or how much years of experience they bring to the table. The moment you provide them, they're like those horses who can literally run and create miracles for you.
True, very true.
Yeah, thank you. So I mean, it's all, the whole theme is coming together towards how productive the teams can become, right? With the right skill, with the right environment, with the right tools in terms of technology. The focus for 2023 and going onwards is to be, how do we increase the productivity? Till now has been like the last 3 years has been on the survival mode, but now I think it is going to be change your gears and, bring productivity, right? So great pointers here as to, skill-driven workspace and what kind of opportunities that employers provide and, equally attract that kind of skills. This is a great segue for the second part of the topic is, how whether to organically grow skilled teams inside an organization to bring in that productivity and add business outcome, or hire a top talent to achieve a certain outcome, right? The business goal or the revenue and the profitability that the businesses are really looking for. I think that is what our next set of conversation is going to be around. So let me start with this question, right? How do organizations, how do teams do the right balance between building a skilled team and hiring the top talent. I know for a specific project and or a product development. So, I would like you all to take, your own experience as leaders in these domains and share your thoughts around it. Maybe, Dia, you want to start first?
Yeah, sure, Suma. So when I look at the question, organization and culture, right? So, and how these two are blending together. So basically in an organization, the culture makes the organization, right? That's what speaks about the organization. And when we are looking at, the entire culture and the organization, we need to understand two things when we are hiring from outside and we're keeping homegrown. The advantage of homegrown is that they know your product and solutions in and out. Then you can get some coaching expertise, and you can also help give that additional piece of, mentoring, coaching, and also any kind of training to scale them up to that level. You need to understand in hiring a top talent, the why of it when you're getting someone from outside. And today, in my experience, I feel some of it is not done very thoroughly. People just decide saying that, okay, we want to get someone. Why are we getting this person? Is he because he's from a B school? Is he because he's from XYZ factor? Those are some of the options that we need to weigh before we get somebody, because we do not want failure in the end. What is in-house? And then weigh our options, have 2 to 3 differences of opinions so that we can make a good decision on the why, what, and how of the entire hiring that we are doing. That's about it, Suma.
Okay, thank you. Ask a very important why. Why are we hiring? Can we have this? Do we have this talent inside? Right. Srividya, you have quite a bit of experience in this space within Flipkart. Yeah, please do share your experience.
Sure. So I think, Suma, as you use the right word, it is balance, right? So, and the balance, I would say, is largely driven by business needs. It could be the criticality of the business need from a time perspective. It could be the nicheness of the role itself, right? Which helps us determine and take that call. Because if we are able to predict that certain roles will open up, in 6 months, then we can start building a talent pipeline with the help of, by identifying the right talent, putting them through the right journeys, and then keeping them ready for the upcoming opportunities. But unfortunately, the pace at which technology is getting disrupted, the pace at which the market conditions are changing, I think not all roles are very clearly predictable, right? When you have roles which are more, practice expertise kind of roles, you can still plan and build the pipeline through journeys, like I said. But when you have, if you look at, the last decade or so, if I just take the example of product managers itself, right? Product managers, largely we consider, majority of them are practice experts, right? They are very strong in the core expertise areas and competencies of product management, and fairly fungible across domains, right? But if you look at the last decade, we have seen certain, disruptions due to technology in different domains. For example, supply chain, healthcare, edtech, right? These are new domains, even travel for that matter, where technology has actually disrupted, and you have deep domain experts who have actually come into play, right? So if you are looking for a product manager with a specific domain expertise, then I think building the talent internally will be a challenge. You will have to go and hire top talent. So I think the decision is largely dependent on business needs, role criticality, and also the nicheness of the skill.
Right. So let's dwell. You touched upon 2 important items here, which are practice experts, and the domain expertise. Right. So I know the most of the disruption happened in the technology, and how technology penetrated every aspect of businesses that originally existed, and new ones came out, right? So how does how does one balance this, right? I know it is easy to say that, or it is expected an answer to say that, okay, because I do not have a practice experts, so I'm bringing in people from outside, or I do not have a domain experts. But how about then it becomes the task of the leaders to foresee this change that is coming in, or which is going to happen in an organization, and we already have a pool of talent which have done so well in the past, and now they're itching to go to the next level, or be part of that organizational success and journey. And how does one, as a leader, how do you take people's aspirations? Right now it's more has become about people's aspiration. What is my purpose? Why am I with this company or this organization? And how do you deal with aspirations of the employees?
You want me to take it up?
Yes, please. Yeah.
Sure, I can start. So I think very, very valid question, right? If we are going to hire experts from the industry, then how do we even motivate and engage and retain our own, employees? So see, typically, mostly in most organizations, the leadership generally have at least 3 to 5 year outlook on technology. That time frame might be reducing to 15 months to 24 months now. But still, everybody has an outlook to how technology is evolving. Where do we want to invest? What are the new emerging technologies, and what kind of roles are relevant in our organization, right? So typically in every organization which wants to kind of build talent in-house, there is a certain amount of, kitty set aside for incubation, right? Certain teams work on, upcoming technologies. They go deep into that, a bunch of folks, it's like a startup within a startup kind of a scenario, right? Right. They get funded on, experimentation, and then as it evolves and the market also evolves. So if you look at blockchain, right, we started talking about blockchain probably, 24 months back, or even a little earlier to it. Pre-COVID, most of us were talking about blockchain. And now it has actually evolved and reached a certain level of maturity. So organizations had this leeway to actually create incubators, develop the right skill, find the people who are really motivated and interested to actually jump into the incubator ecosystem where many things are unknown, and try out new things and then evolve their roles, right? So that is one example of how practically you can actually, invest a bit into the future, and then also that creates a certain North Star for the employees to look up to and then plan their own careers around it.
Right. So employees are more and more, they are the drivers of their own career.
Absolutely.
Right? And,
yes.
Sonali, from your experience in running a product organization, how was this challenge more difficult or challenging, in terms of product management skills? Finding somebody within the organization, or going outside to get someone. Can you please?
Yeah. Very, very fair question. So I think among all the product functions we hire, product management is one of the most challenging roles. And the reason for that is a product manager is expected to have multiple hard skills and soft skills, right? So hard skills will start with, very basic stuff that, okay, do they have, can they think of a business problem? Do they have the right solutioning approach? Do they have the first principles thinking? Can they, do they have the design aspect, right? Those are like hard skills which you can teach. And then there are process related stuff of how to write a user story, how to write a business document, how to collaborate with engineering, how to collaborate with UX designers or data folks, and so on and so forth. Stakeholder management. Now, what comes on the softer side, however, is the extreme level of curiosity, right? As an example, the assertiveness to be able to put your point of view, and the openness to consume information from your stakeholders, the empathy to understand your users better, right? There is something which I call as eye to the detail and devil in the details, right? Mindset to get to the nitty-gritty of the requirement you're talking about and not missing out, right? The attitude to own, right? And not give up, right? Do not bring up reasons like I will face so and so bottleneck. Having that mindset of I need to get the stuff done no matter what, right? So these are the softer aspects of it, along with the basic things like communication, collaboration. I'm not touching because those are like so basic for a product management role. So what happens is if you are looking at an internal talent, building on what Srividya was telling earlier, when it comes to domain knowledge, product knowledge, the culture of how the company wants to build the product, the culture of what is the company's goals, and how is the product standing in the ecosystem with respect to meeting the company's overall goal, right? Because product always fulfills the goals or the business outcome for the users, but also fulfills the business outcomes for the company, right? So what is the trade-off there? What is the overall stakeholder ecosystem looking like? So if you're looking at a talent from inside, they will already have some portion of these, inherently in them. And that's where a strong learning and development mechanism to build the softer aspects of the things I talked about by building product management playbooks, boot camps really helps, right? When it comes to internal talent grooming. And often I have seen that if people know these basics, like the domain knowledge and all of that, doing the boot camps, if done in the right way, in a span of 2 to 3 months, you can literally have people up and there contributing, literally contributing to the final business outcome, right? Now, at the same time, if I'm looking for a very niche skill set, like let's say I'm looking for a data product manager, right? Or I'm looking for a growth product manager, or I'm looking for a product manager who understands something like generative AI technology, right? Comes from that background, which is very specific skill. Or I feel that, I want to upgrade my own product management talent, right? By bringing in some more diverse thinking, because product management processes across various organizations are different. You always want to bring in the best practices across the world. Then you go out and try to upgrade your talent. Now there you face another kind of challenge, right? Wherein the product manager has to unlearn and learn your own product management philosophy. So again, it boils down to a very end-to-end, custom-driven, product management workshop, boot camps, playbooks. But at the same time, you have to also provide them the other ecosystem, which is the domain knowledge, customer empathy, customer ecosystem, stakeholder ecosystem. So you need to have those organizational learnings also, which are very, very much inherently there in your internal ecosystem for the external folks to survive, right? Now the skill set gap, as I mentioned, right, is these softer skills is harder to teach, right? Whether someone is from outside or inside, because the culture, a product management culture or building products culture always varies a bit from one organization to another. Domain is something which I would expect any product manager to have the skill set to pick that up. It is just a matter of time, right? So that's where I'll pause. I hope I answered your question, Suma.
Oh, yeah. Great points, a lot of valid points, and especially from my own experience of having transitioned internally, and I've done this earlier as well. Having an understanding of the product already, in an organization helps immensely, and having all the aspects, the hard skills and the soft skills. Because soft skills are the most difficult ones to be taught or to be acquired, but with the right guidance, with the right learning and development plan, and people who are already involved in the products can move into product management area of work. And and thank you, Srividya and Dia, for your points. Right, for details, incubation project. I think nowadays a lot of organizations are running these intrapreneur projects, right, internally, which is a great way of for employees and for the employers to nurture the ideas and also nurture people's interests, right? Give them a opportunity to go beyond their comfort zones to explore what they can do or what is out there. So I think that's one big change I noticed in most of the organizations that I've worked so far, or in my network, and yeah, that's going to be a game changer for all of us. Yeah. Okay. So we've touched upon this point earlier, which is the purpose of career, and a lot of us, some of you have been with your current organizations for quite some time, and how has the culture of the organization influenced your experience within an organization to grow from where you've started to where you are today? And why I'm asking this question is that's probably a reflective for a lot of us, who our audience as well, to see, okay, what kind of organization am I working for, or I want to work next, right? What they're going to ask, what kind of workforce that I'm getting into, what is the work environment is like, work culture is like. Srividya, can you please start with how has it been for you in your own journey? How has it helped? And at the same time, what is your organization culture? How has it helped others in your organization?
Yeah. Suma, I think connecting back to what we spoke, right? Everybody is looking for a meaning at work, right? And they are ready to experiment. They are ready to take risks, probably calculated risks. Not everybody wants to go out there and try something totally new, but within a given organization, if I have, opportunities to try different things, why not, right? That's how even my career has evolved. Personally, I am an engineer by education. Close to 12 years I was into engineering and product management roles briefly as well, and then I found my passion more around capability development, organization development, learning, more of people-centric roles, right? And my organizations have very openly supported this transition, and today here I am in this forum trying to share my experiences from both sides, right? And even at Flipkart, if I look at, the organization, as you said, places onus on the employee to own the career, right? While the manager and the organization is there to play a more facilitative, supportive kind of a role, I think it is in the hands of the employee to kind of take the right calls and reach out and seek advice, right? And reach out and seek opportunities as well. Culture here is a very, very critical enabler, has been my learning throughout, right? If I, as an employee, want to try out different things, then my immediate, for me, the face of the organization is my manager, right? So how enabling is my manager in this journey where I can actually, explore different things and then understand where is my interest, right? So if the people managers look at their team members as my team talent versus looking at them as organization talent, right? That makes a whole lot of a difference, right? Because today all of us know it is a difficult scenario, even when it comes to talent, right? There are so many uncertainties, and talent is also, getting the right talent for the right role is a challenge. It has been, and it will continue to be, right? So as a people manager, you are constantly kind of, trying to meet the business goals while also trying to retain the best talent, give them the right experience and support them through their journeys, right? So the culture shift has to happen from both sides. One, in terms of, the people managers taking that step towards providing the right environment at the team level, and also overall, building the right organization environment and culture, right? To make these shifts. I think that, and of course, policies are there to support, right? Policies are always, it gives us the guidelines on how to implement things. But I think the core of it is, the intent and the mindset to kind of support these changes.
Rightly put. Thank you, Sridhya. I would like to ask this question to, direct this one to Dia. So this is for people who are already there, right? How about people who are coming in, who are new to the organization, and how it becomes more and more important for them to be felt, okay, I did make a right decision for, in joining this organization. And how does one communicate? How does the learning and the development plan plays out for the new people in an organization?
Yeah, that's a very good question, actually. So some of the times when personally, when I have actually taken the onboarding for many new joinees who have joined the organization, I see that they look for what's in it for me, right? All they want is information of how they can connect back to the organization. We have the value piece that is plays the most important part of the onboarding, wherein which we talk about the values of the organization. We have different kinds of career and performance management sessions. This session, right, when you actually talk to the employees about career and performance, you'll have many people talking about what I have come into the organization, what is the role that I play, and what's the career ahead for me. And the other thing that I've also seen that works very well to bring in that new talent and make them fit your culture is tag them to a small buddy within their team, right? Or if everyone is busy, maybe you can look out for somebody else in the organization who can hold their hand and help them alongside their journey, so that they can ask not only the challenging questions on work, but then if they have anything else apart from that that they want to discuss openly, that's the forum that their buddy will help them in their 30, 60, 90-day journey, right? And also during that 30, 60, 90-day journey, I feel for aligning and settling, some of the key aspects are: one is your manager connect. Because in the first 5 days or 10 days, if you do not meet your manager, then like Srividya said, your manager is your most important person, right? So that's the same way you need to help ensure that the person connects with the manager, or even before the person comes on board, take them out for a coffee, tea, start discussing, have conversations, so that you build the rapport and the relationship that is required for them to do their job, right? And then over a period, start connecting them to leaders who they're going to be associated with. Tag them along with projects that they're going to be talking. Overall, after their 30, 60, 90-day career plan, all the time, just keep checking on the milestones as to how they're doing, what is it that they're challenged with, and try to change the conversation into a positive outlook, given that they're new and you cannot expect them to do just the way another team member is performing. Make them feel good and warm is something that I have always felt works well with team members. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thanks, Dia. I've experienced that with people who were coming in, and when I've been new to my current organization. And given that in a product environment, Sonali, which is a collaborative role, right? Which in my experience, 60% of the work gets done just by collaboration. So how does how does this play out in a product organization, or is it any different, or is it similar? What is it like? What your experience has been?
Sure. Yeah, so the product organization is not very different when it comes to onboarding new employees, but I'll just add on what Dia mentioned, right? So as part of the 30, 60, 90-day plan, there are certain additional things you can obviously add. Like, for example, that this product manager is going to, or this product or developer, whatever role they're coming in, they're going to work in so-and-so product. There will be these consulting stakeholders, there will be XYZ salesperson, there will be there are certain client case studies or demo videos which they can watch. So you basically devise the 30, 60, 90-day plan with artifacts, learning video, training videos, as well as you provide a list of contact people, not just the manager, but who all in the organization they should go and have at least a 15 to 20 minutes intro conversation, as an example, right? In the beginning. That itself sets the stage for them to know the stakeholders, maybe have a video conversation or an in-person conversation. Thus, it puts a face to the name. The moment people know about each other, it becomes more humanly, and it's not just an email or a meeting conversation which happens, right? So that is the first step towards onboarding people with respect to stakeholders. Now, the second thing which I want to touch upon, I don't think it is limited to just product organization, but is about how do you want your employees to reflect or to practice the culture of the organization, right? We talk a lot about culture, but then culture gets also diluted as you add more people into the organization. So hence there is a required need to define the culture values of the organization in a very detailed fashion, wherein almost think of like an ebook or a website page, wherein this is so clearly detailed out with even a mechanism of how to practice it, so that employees on their onboarding phase can go through that and can meet the respective culture practice, leads, I would say. When I say leads, they're not leads, but these are people who exemplify those specific culture values in the organization. So that way, they will have a more practical approach towards understanding the culture. For example, if we have a culture of let the best idea win, as an example at Highly Days, so I would expect a new person to be humble enough to understand how to practice this culture value in a day-to-day basis. And we have a mechanism which is there on our website itself. Now, the buddy has to ensure, or the manager has to ensure that they go through this, they meet people who exemplify that culture value and also practice that in their 30, 60, 90-day plan, so that at the end of the 90-day, they have actually started practicing the culture and feel one among the rest of the company folks and not, someone who is an outsider. So that is how I'll put as the two things. Now, the third thing I want to add is creating a growth mindset culture is very important, especially in a product organization, because you're always dealing with abstract problems, right? You do not get problems from the customer. You're dealing with abstract problems. So you will make mistakes, you will fail. So having that, culture of fail fast, fix fast, learn fast, embrace challenges, continuous feedback mechanism. It's okay to make your hands dirty and fail. It's okay to innovate and fail. But at the same time, having the growth mindset to learn from those failures and create more success stories is extremely important for creating that innovation culture or innovation mindset along with your customer mindset, right?
Right.
So that becomes the third most important, or I would say more distinctive when it comes to product.
Right. Yeah. That's the entire challenge with the product organization, is that we do not have, we're working with the unknown, right? So
Exactly.
we're trying to define the unknown, and unless we are okay to accept certain failures that we are doing, that's happening. So growth mindset, yes. So tying back to our topic of discussion, which is future of workforce.
Suma, one addition I just have, just before you go and segue into the next thing, is that she spoke about values, which is very important, right? And how do we ensure these new joinees, whoever are coming into the organization, are recognized? At the end of 60 days, at least somebody will look for some kind of recognition. So when the organization has their values, you have tools like Workday, SuccessFactors, SAP that play very important roles in your, HCM, the entire, you keep the profile of the person. Can you not click on the person's name and give feedback based on the value that the person has actually exhibited? Like, for example, if the person has been empathetic to your situation, or the person has been relentless in his work and ensured that they have completed their task well within the due dates and also going above and beyond? Do you want to go back on workday, give that feedback and tag that value to the person? In that way, the person knows he's connected to the organization and he's made a difference in 60 days. So I just thought I'll bring this small point of view, which will add value to this entire topic and question.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, what is a better way to absorb somebody into a culture by actually, reflecting it upon themselves, right? Yeah. Yeah, the culture of appreciation and, it is giving a safe environment to fail and grow, right? Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Dia. So what I was, earlier was going to say, right? As leaders who are making decisions on bringing in new talent versus building new team, new skill set within the team, it is a lot of learning and development, also providing a safe environment within the organization itself, that okay, the new transition or new role or new skill set that one is developing, we're going to give them enough time and room, resources to grow themselves. And at the same time, anybody who is coming in new to the organization, also give them a feel of the culture in the organization, so that they become part of the organization as quickly as possible and start contributing towards the mission. So I think we've had great conversation here in terms of what I had planned. We have a great audience who have posted certain questions, and I would like to take up on some of these questions. Please feel free to pick these questions. We have Smita Das, who's asking, when a person is transitioning from a project management to a product management role, what changes should they be bringing on to their approach or outlook? Yes.
Yeah, I can take that question, Suma.
Yes,
Right.
please.
So Smita, thanks for bringing it up. So project manager is great when it comes to stakeholder management, measuring the plan versus actual, right? Traversing across different bottlenecks and ensuring that the project gets successfully delivered, right? So that's the skill set which a project manager brings on board. And that's also a skill set which a product manager needs to have, especially if they have to be a get stuff done product manager. Now, what additional things you need to have on top of it is the ability to apply, whether you call a 5 why analysis or first principles thinking, and getting to the bottommost level of what is the pure business requirement, processing that and coming up with solution options which are generic enough to be applicable across your customer base or user base, which is what is more tagged as product thinking or product mindset, right? Not thinking about custom solutions, but product thinking. And then taking that solution to the next level with a very fine detailed execution of what will that finally translate to, right? What will be your, whether your wireframes or whether it is an automation logic, whether it's an algorithm, whether it's a, a process which you're defining as part of the product. But all these have to be now defined. Now, and then comes in again your project management skill set, where you can take these and talk to your stakeholders, get their buy-in, package it, now put together a project plan, by working with your relevant stakeholders and deliver, right? So I hope you got the answer. So the primary thing, if I have to summarize for you, is product thinking and extremely detailed, fine detailed is what I use the word, fine detailed execution.
Thank you, Sonali. I think that summarized the product management mindset, right? Yeah. So thank you for that. I have another question from Rajeshwari Ranganathan. how do we ensure the new talent acceptance by the existing workforce is happening without conflicts? Any experiences or practices that worked? Srividya, do you want to take this up?
Sure, Suma. So I think this is quite natural. Anybody who's joining the team new tries to look at it from a very, very, I would say, a very, very a curious space, right? Because they don't carry any baggage of what can happen, what cannot happen. They don't have an idea of what are the constraints. Whereas the existing team may have gone through certain experiences and they may have a point of view, right? So conflicts is quite natural. I would say the best way to kind of deal with it is to give yourself time to soak into the context a little, understand, where is the team currently, what is the thought process, and also I think invest time in understanding each other within the team. Most teams function as pods today. So there are cross-functional teams. So we are bringing people from different teams to come together to work towards a common goal, right? So something that has worked beautifully well for us is we actually, conduct very, very simple, we hold space for the pod team members to actually express themselves in terms of what are their preferences, in terms of ways of working, in terms of communication, conflict resolution, right? They open up and it's a personal disclosure, right? I let you know what is the best way I like in terms of communication. Similar to that, conflict resolution. So if you can have some of those conversations within the pods, I think that will help you understand each other's styles and preferences better, right? And then you can, looking at the context and also understanding each other's styles, you can actually, fine tune your approach to place a new idea, when to do it, how to do it, etc. Right? So that is something which, I have seen it work fairly well in pods.
Okay, the pod system, and earlier we talked about buddy systems,
Yeah, a little bit of an icebreaker to know each other.
Yeah.
Right? I think that
Yeah.
really helps.
And
maybe
also,
go ahead,
sorry.
Diya.
No, I think, also when you're new, you're very, very nervous about asking for help. So I feel that's another quality, innate quality that we need to bring to the table, and don't feel bad, just ask for help, get to know the people around you, and, navigate through virtually, because right now all of us are in calls, each one wants to, come forth, talk about their experiences, and just like, Srividya said, resolve those conflicts and move forward. Don't keep it in your mind and get bogged down.
And Suma, I would just want to address the second part, which Rajeshwari has very clearly called out, that the new talent adds more ideas, driving changes that existing workforce may tempt to resist. It's a very important call out which Rajeshwari has made. And just one additional comment there on top of what all we spoke is that's where I feel even a new joinee needs to have a learner's mindset and enormous empathy for the people who are already there in the organization. It's a two-way ecosystem, not a one-way ecosystem. When I say, so if the other person is resisting your thought process, there might be a very genuine reason why they are, or they're just used to a certain way of working and you're bringing in a fresh thought and they're just feeling insecure, or there is a lot of historical context which you probably do not know. Right. So having that curiosity and empathy to understand your stakeholders, the why behind what they are saying will help you get to a better state of adjustment and negotiation. Again, I would say the product thinking helps somewhere here also in a behavior to understand the perspective of that person. And then you can, obviously gel well now. But you need to also have the mindset to unlearn and learn, because what worked in your previous organization and role might not work in the new setup, and vice versa too, right? So change is the constant here, because you have changed. So, so bringing in that perspective is very important.
Absolutely, yeah. More so, I think there was a time when all of us would meet our co-workers almost every day, right? in the last few years, it has so happened that there are new people who joined and we haven't met them, or we know each other very well. So there has been silos, and I think the open communication, spending time with each other more often, and having an understanding both ways, as you rightly put it, about their experiences, where they are coming from, and having that candid, open conversation is what will help in these conflicting situations. Great, thank you all for that. I have a question which is coming from Vishrit Kumar. He's asking, is it necessary or needed to have a people management as part of product management? Can you extend with some of your added? Okay, so I think, I think soft skills is where the product manager's soft skills is where this is coming in. So, Shividya, you want to take it up? Is it necessary to, or needed to have people management as part of product management?
Yeah, I think, see, again, the product management career path, right, has its own, growth path, right? So you start as an individual contributor. You start as an individual contributor who is part of a team. And of course, in the product management space, the teams are not so huge. You may have, 2 people may report into a manager, or 3 people may report into a manager at max, right? So the teams may be small, but as you grow in your career within product management, definitely at some point you will have to play the role of a people manager, right? It is inevitable, right? How much ever we say, we are agile teams, self-managed teams, we still, in the construct of how we operate at work, I think the role of people manager becomes inevitable, because, somebody has to kind of look at your performance, somebody has to kind of look at your career growth. That role is very, very critical. And in the product management space, I don't see it any different, except for the fact that the teams may be small. So I think having skills which are, around coaching your team members, having skills around, understanding how to keep your team motivated, understanding, how to align their aspirations to the opportunities, how to do performance reviews, right? These skills are most essential in the kitty of a people manager. And I don't think that is any different in the product space.
Right.
And Suma, the only other additional stuff here again is a product manager actually is a people's person, right?
Yes.
So you don't necessarily are in the capability of a people manager when you are an individual contributor. You don't have the reportees, but you are the influencer. You have to influence people and not dictate decisions, right? And therein comes a very different kind of people management skill, where you are not directly having reportees, but you are like the engine of a train. So you have to influence several stakeholders who don't report to you, but kind of work with you, right? To get to your business outcomes. So inspiring people may not be coaching, but at least inspiring people for the business outcome you want to create, energizing them, creating the motivation for innovation. Those kind of skill sets are inherently required for a product manager to grow up the ladder, not just to become a people manager, but even to be a good product manager, individual contributor, or IC role, which we call. I think that's a skill set, at least that part of people management you will need to acquire.
And to wrap it all these attributes should always be from a top-down approach, right? The leaders have to practice this, and then it eventually flows down to all product managers, people managers, etc., and the organization.
Absolutely, yeah. Be it tech roles, and more so in project, we are constantly talking to people. I think they are our it is influencing without authority. We do not have direct control or authority or hierarchy with people, but we do work with them a lot from a product manager's role. So I have another question from Preksha, which is, what is your experience, some of the key elements of helping folks learn behaviors and mindsets? A simple training doesn't seem to work very well.
Yeah, I'll take that,
Yes,
Suma.
please.
So from my experience, what I've felt is in a behavior training or any training for that example, if you take for example, the first and foremost thing is that every training hat is required, or every participant needs to have three things. One is the mindset, one's the tool set, and the skill set. If that falls in place, then your behavior tomorrow when you go into the session, if you're having 10% where you will be given all the formal learning, read up this, do this reference guide, go to this playbook, all of that will be there. Come back and reflect as to what exactly is going on in that 10%. Then move to your exposure phase, wherein which you are actually taking up some assessment or taking up some panel evaluation on that particular topic of behavior. Like, for example, if I take problem solving, if you're having problem solving, then attempt a case study which is given during the training. Take about 2 weeks, experiment, see what are the best use cases that can be brought out of this case study, right? That's when your mind and your skill both will play at power. And the last thing is, when you have that experiential or you're going to apply what you have learned in that case study, that's when you'll actually understand the nuances of, okay, what am I feeling difficult in problem solving? Go back to a mentor that is actually dedicated to you, have that conversation that this is what I'm not able to, here are the challenges, how do we actually go about it? And that's when you'll see over a period of 2 months, you will actually be able to apply these learnings, what you learned in 10, 20, 70, and all the skill sets will fall into place. That is one thing. The second thing is, whenever you're doing a training with a larger group of people, we have to see what is the impact and also define those metrics at the beginning of the training. What are we trying to achieve as a group, right? This segment is facing XYZ problem. So we are trying to do these kind of metrics. One, adoption, completion. Then, are people really going back and applying that particular behavior? Start having conversations with participants, reactive conversations, as well as over a period, start understanding from them, did that training really make value to you? And is it really helping you to become that manager that you are for the first time? And if he says, no, I'm still not able to manage, then maybe you want to have an improvement plan. So it is a step-by-step process. It doesn't come overnight, right? So these are some of the thoughts that I would like to share.
Very valid points. Yeah, I think soft skills, mindset change is what the toughest. Putting every learning bit to practice for a continued period of time and repetitive learning is what will make those trainings stick and add value, or show it show it in your own behavior.
And I would say, Suma, people can add gratification to it. Like as you practice, like how Dia was insisting a lot on all the practice, our brain registers a lot when we give that instant gratification and say, hey, what you did is a great job, pattern of the next. So whatever you need to gratify yourself, if you feel with one practice you did some improvement, whether it's having an ice cream, or just buying yourself a book, or whatever makes you get that instant gratification, you should continue doing that, so that your brain registers that as a happy improvement path, and then you just continue to be on a progressive path.
That's a good suggestion. Pat yourself, give yourself the credit for learning that new skill and actually using it, so that you use it more often, right? Yeah, great. Thank you for that, Sonali. So Lena Joan is asking, how can theories of organizational psychology, for example, group dynamics theories, help with conflict when a new resource joins, or during stress points? I think this is in continuation with our previous discussion. We've gone over this, how would we handle conflicts at workplace? Anybody like to take this up?
I can try, though I'm not an expert in org psychology. I'm still learning by the day. But I think, as I said earlier, there are certain simple psychometric tools that we can use, psychometric assessments, which are behavioral assessments, nothing to do with your competency, but to understand, the behavioral styles of each of us within a group, right? So because you said how to understand group dynamics, I think simple psychometric tools, something that we have used in the past, which has worked well, is DISC, right? It is about, our own social styles, right? What is our preference? How do we, what is my motivator? What is my challenge? How should I, deal, or what works best if I have a team member who has a certain style? How do I, work best with that team member, right? These are some insights that you get if you actually put yourself through some of these psychometric assessments. Just an example, I picked DISC, right? There is MBTI. There are multiple assessments available in the market. So you can actually, have the group run through this and then help them understand what it means. See, basically, the starting point is to become self-aware, right? To become self-aware that all of us are coming from different places. We have different styles that we operate in. Some styles are dominant in us. Some styles may not be so dominant, right? And then creating that space for a conversation, saying, even though I don't have to, share my style profile with everybody, we can have conversations and questions around, now that you are aware of your style, let us know, what best works for you when we get into conflict situations. How do you prefer we handle conflicts, right? Having those conversations, how do you prefer we communicate with each other, right? What are your challenges? Where do you think we can support you, right? Because when you're trying to build cohesive teams and high performing teams, I think it's more about, understanding each other's ways of working and then building on each other's strengths, right? That is what will help the team reach the common goal. So I think some of these psychometric analysis tools, aided with a little bit of a personal disclosure, in a safe space, which can get facilitated by either the manager or, somebody from L&D, I think gives a good start. And I have tried and it works, right? Whenever we try to assimilate leaders into teams, I generally do this kind of, I create the safe space for them to come together, have these conversations, and then help them understand each other better, right?
In my current organization, we are trying to build an organizational culture of questioning with good intent, right? So this is actually a win-win for both of them, somebody who's questioning and somebody who is being questioned, right? When we know the intent is to bring in good for the organization, so it creates a safe space for everybody to explain themselves and reason it out. I think that's creating safe spaces is what is important. That's what we've learned. I'm going to take a last question. Coming from Pallavi M, in order to showcase skills and capabilities, it is important to create opportunities for ourselves. How can we differentiate ourselves or increase our visibility to attract such opportunities, especially in the current market conditions? I think you all can give your, as leaders, how do we find opportunities to showcase ourselves? Sonali, you want to start?
Yeah, I can start on this. So Pallavi, again, great question. What I would recommend here is do a deep introspection on your skills and capabilities, but more so on how have you demonstrated in your job so far, right? And what is your story, right? Every person out there always has a story. It's just that we don't know what that is till we introspect and retrospect, right? Think about the challenges which you have gone through. Wherein did you get to practice those skill sets? Wherein did you get to, face situations or challenges which were very different? And what defines you and as a unique individual in your own group, in your own company, in your own team? So ask these questions to yourself. Of course, there will be a bunch of achievements which you have done, of business outcomes which you have achieved, but that's fine. But what did you do there, right? Your team achieved. What was your contribution there, right? Your group met a certain business target, but what was your contribution? Were you the person who convinced the customer for something? Were you the person who convinced your manager for something? Were you the person who really actually architected that? And then at what level of complexity you handled, right? Just to give it an example. So that will be your story, right? And then you can take that and put it first in your language to build your resume, CV, LinkedIn pointers, however way you want to put it. And then, of course, it takes certain iterations to fine tune those language and showcase that in, first of all, a written format. And then when you talk through your story, naturally now you will have multiple pointers because you have thought through it and you know what defines you now, right? So don't go by, I mean, a lot of people go and look for Google search, oh, what does a developer skill set require, lead skill set require, product management skill set require, use those jargon words and maybe certain dollar numbers, quantitative numbers, and you build your resume. But if you're not able to talk through that story, it means nothing, right? And hence, I would highly recommend you to think deep and build that storyline for yourself. Then you will come across as a very genuine personality interviewing for a certain role. And there you go, right? I mean, how you have a genuine story which is uniquely defining you. Why not, why would not someone choose you, right? As you go through the skill set. So that's what I leave you with.
That's great.
Yeah, so I have few points, Suma. What I was thinking is that while, that's the external part of it, how do I actually create the visibility inside my own organization? Right? One or two to three things that I encourage my team members is come and tell us what you're working, come and tell the extended team, present. That is your opportunity to present your work to the surrounding team members or the larger pods that Sri Vidya was talking about. Whenever you're having those all hand meetings, try and get a spot in that all hands meeting that you can make a difference and talk about a specific project, whether it's in line with the vision of the organization. It will be a high priority critical project, right? So try and get that space. If that doesn't work, then if you are going to, meet the leader in the elevator or maybe for lunch, he says, hey, how are you doing? Let him know who you are. Otherwise, that is the way things can actually go in the positive direction for you. That's the second way. The third thing that I've also seen that works well is whenever you're doing a key project, does your project have a sponsor, right? Because in that way, your sponsor can help drive the visibility, and in the end, the entire team gets the credibility of that project. So these are smaller ways in which you can get the credibility and visibility, which goes hand in hand.
Great point. Yeah. Anything that you would like to?
Just one cent here, not 2 cents. I think Sonali and Dia have given great pointers, both to create an internal brand as well as external brand. I think the first step to it is to fight your doubts. Don't be afraid to take that first step, right? It's okay if you kind of, you don't succeed completely, but there's always a learning in everything that we do. That's the, faith with I'll ask you to approach it, right? So take the first step, and as Dia said, grab the opportunities which are there internally to showcase your work. A lot of organizations are also moving towards, providing a lot of opportunities for internal talent mobility, talent marketplaces, where you can pick up part-time projects and try things. You really don't have to change roles, right? You can still remain with the same team, do the same, project, but still pick up an additional project. So don't hesitate to try those options. I think that is when the world will open up to you, and you can gain from those multiple experiences, and then see what really, when you do the retrospection and the reflection that Sonali said, you will get a better perspective of how things are in the organization and where does your heart lie, right? So I think fighting that fear is what really stands for me, because most of us, start with that. Can I do it? Will I be able to do it? Should I really rock the boat for myself. So I think just go ahead. Nothing is going to happen. It'll all turn good. Yeah.
Great. I think this last question has put the whole panel topic into a right ending. But just as a closing comments, one line from all my fantastic panelists here. Future of workforce, where are we heading? Building talent inside, hiring from outside. One line from each of you. Dia, I'll start with you. You're on mute.
Yeah, both are complementing each other, but I will go with hiring from inside.
Okay, great.
To give opportunity to the people who have been in your systems until and unless it's a niche skill. That's what my thought process is.
Hiring from inside. Srividya?
Yeah, I second Dia. As an individual, I would say, put up your hands when there are opportunities and keep yourself role ready, right? Don't be stuck to where you are. Keep your eyes and ears open and stretch and, be ready for newer challenges, right? So that the organization can look at you as the talent in pipeline. I think, again, the onus is on the employee. That's what I'm leaving everybody with.
Great. Sonali.
Yeah, so Suma, again, I'm completely leaning towards what Diya and Srividya mentioned. I'm a big believer of grooming internal talent. But what I want to leave everyone with is there is a very famous saying, ask and it is given. Okay? Most people do not ask, and hence I would encourage or urge everyone to ask for what they want, have the courage to go speak to the stakeholders, and the courage to practice new things and embrace new challenges, and you will be taken care of.
I'm so glad we had this conversation, and I had the opportunity to moderate this session. Great insights I hope the audience got some of the questions, some of the critical questions, irrespective of what role we all are in. We discuss some of the internal, external self-doubt, and how is the whole workplace dynamics changing. And I'm a Harry Potter fan. Help will be given to those who ask for it at Hogwarts. So that's what Sonali said. I think it is true, both personally, professionally. Ask for help, and there's plenty of opportunities for all of us to grow, thrive, and prosper. Yeah, I think I would like to thank my panelists, Diya, Srividya, Sonali, and my audience, and our audience with those great questions. Thank you everyone for your time and participating in this panel discussion. I hope it added value to your time, and and have a good night. And for any further questions in terms of what IPL and PLF is about, and my fellow panelists, please do reach out through LinkedIn, and yeah, we can continue to have this conversation. Thanks everyone. Have a wonderful evening, rest of the evening.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
panelists, for your participation, especially all of the answers to the audience. I'm sure they're all happy. I've received a couple of texts already. Thank you so much for each of your inputs. It was wonderful hosting you all today. Before we go ahead and end the session, I would like you to just put in the chat box to me which audience question you'd like to vote. If you remember any question that you got that kind of clicked, you can open the Q&A window if you want to just review the questions again in the Q&A window in the answered section. So let me know what question from which person intrigued you the most, and we'll go ahead and announce the award. So if you can just take a minute to review that and put it on the chat box for me, please. Until then, I have a few announcements to make for all of you who are here watching the session. Tomorrow we have, tomorrow in the sense on 7th of May, we have the next session, day 5 for the International Month of Informed Women. We have a fireside chat with a product marketing leader. So please feel free to join in the session at 8, same time as today, for this session to listen to yet another amazing conversation about success stories. And if you'd like to also know more, you can go ahead and check out the rest of the agenda for 9th and 11th of May. And go ahead and check the finale event happening on the 13th. The Best Audience Question Award is one of the awards that we've been giving for all of these sessions, who are chosen by the panelists. I would also like to mention one little surprise giveaway here is the Dine with a Product Leader Award. For all of you watching on LinkedIn as well, and for all of you in the Zoom meeting, we have this session, all of these sessions that have been happening, we'd like to award the 2 lucky winners from this attendee audience that we've been having across all of the sessions on the last day, on the finale, where they will be getting an opportunity to dine with a product leader and have one-on-one conversations about their experiences and a networking opportunity with an industry expert. So go ahead and be more enthusiastic, ask questions. The person who's been here for all of the sessions will probably have a likely higher chance to get the award. So try to be more participative and ask very intriguing questions to win this award. I would also like to present the speakers with these certificates to acknowledge your contribution at the event. Thank you so much, Ms. Dia Kutapa, for being here. We really
Thank you so much, Kashish.
Thank you so much. Wonderful insights, and it's always amazing to listen to different experiences on every panel. I would also like to thank Srividya Natrajan for accepting the invite, and she was an absolute delight to chat with. Thank you so much for accepting the invite and sharing your wonderful thoughts here at the Women in Product series.
Thank you, Kashish, and thank you to all the panelists. I think it was great learnings and conversations. Thank you so much.
Thanks to Ms. Sonali Nanda as well for her wonderful insights and inputs on the panel. We really appreciate all of the speakers who have attended the session, and thank you so much for bringing that diversity while answering those questions as well. It's wonderful to hear different perspectives.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Kashish, and thanks a lot to all the attendees and all the panelists, of course. It was really a very intriguing session.
Thank you so much. Also, not to forget the moderator. Thank you so much, Suma, for wonderfully moderating the session and taking us through the perspectives very flawlessly. Thanks a lot for your time as well.
It's my pleasure.
All right, I think we have the audience award. The highest votes are here. Let me just quickly announce it. We have Pallavi, who is awarded the Best Question Award. Congratulations, Pallavi. If you're here at the session, thank you so much for that really intriguing question that you've shared with us. You can just quickly email on the same invite that you would have received for the session, and I will go ahead and give you the access to whichever digital learning course that you would want to pick. Congratulations and happy upskilling. Without forgetting the co-brand that has helped us bring this wonderful panel to you today, the PLF. So do take another minute to take a screenshot of this and be a part of it for more and more interesting sessions from the Product Leaders Forum in association with the Institute of Product Leadership. Well, if you've enjoyed this experience and if you'd like more such sessions to be organized, go ahead and leave us a Google review. Thanks to the good number of people watching us on LinkedIn. We had some overwhelming response there. People watching us on LinkedIn. Thanks to all the people who joined us on the Zoom window as well. and on YouTube. I'll give you a minute if you'd like to, quickly review the session and share your feedback. As product enthusiasts, we all know the importance of feedback, and we'd really appreciate it to hear back from you so that we can apply it in our next sessions. All right, then. Thank you so much, panel. Lovely evening today with some super interesting thoughts to leave our product geeks with. If you'd like to know more about the Institute of Product Leadership or the Product Leaders Forum, you can head to these websites mentioned. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great evening. We'll meet again soon on the 7th of May for the next session.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thanks, everyone.